People like you always find a way to wander into places that weren't built for you. The words don't come out quietly. They don't slip. Donna Hartwell delivers them the way she delivers everything at Gate C-18, with the flat, unhurried certainty of someone who has never once been wrong about anything in her own mind. Her voice carries across the boarding area, the way announcements do, cutting through the ambient hum of O'Hare's Terminal 2 at 7:10 on a Wednesday evening, landing in the ears of 43 people who have no idea they are about to witness something they will not stop talking about for the rest of their lives. Dr. Marcus Webb stands frozen for exactly 1 second. His hand hovers over his carry-on. His boarding pass is still on his phone screen, face up, glowing. His name is right there. His seat is right there. Seat 2A, First Class. Pinnacle Airways Flight 994 to Washington, D.C. He has sat in this seat 47 times. He knows the fabric of the headrest. He knows the exact angle the window shade tilts at 36,000 feet when the sun comes in from the southwest. He knows that the tray table on 2A has a small scratch in the lower left corner from when he once set down his surgical conference badge without thinking. He knows this seat the way a man knows something he has earned. But Donna Hartwell does not know any of that. She knows a man in a dark gray hoodie and clean sneakers who walked up to her priority lane with headphones around his neck and a worn leather duffel bag over one shoulder, and she has already made every decision she is ever going to make about him. What she doesn't know, what none of them know, is that the older gentleman in the beige cardigan seated in the back row of the boarding area has been watching for 7 minutes. He is very still. He has a copy of the Wall Street Journal folded on his knee, but he stopped reading 4 minutes ago. His reading glasses are perched on the end of his nose. He looks like a retired professor heading somewhere warm for a long weekend. He looks like nobody in particular. His name is Edward Calloway. He is the CEO of Pinnacle Airways. And in approximately 19 minutes, Donna Hartwell's entire world is going to change. The fluorescent lights of O'Hare Terminal 2 hum with the particular anxiety of a Wednesday evening. This is not a glamorous hour to fly. The morning business travelers are long gone. The weekend leisure crowd hasn't arrived yet. Wednesday evening is the province of the tired, the consultant who has been in 3 cities since Monday, the doctor heading home after a symposium, the parent who has spent 2 days away and needs to make it back for a kids' event. Gate C-18 is fully loaded tonight. Pinnacle Airways, Flight 994 to Washington, D.C. is oversold by 2 seats. The departure board shows an 8-minute delay. The gate area is a landscape of quiet stress laptops, balanced on knees, phones pressed to ears, a family with 2 small children staging a negotiation about snacks. Donna Hartwell arrived 20 minutes before her shift started. She always does. She rearranges the boarding area rope dividers until they are geometrically perfect. She wipes down the podium keyboard with a sanitizing cloth, moving from left to right in careful rows. She prints the boarding manifest even though every piece of information on it exists on her screen. She likes the paper in her hand. She reties her Pinnacle Airways scarf. She smooths her navy blazer. She positions the podium scanner at a precise 45-degree angle. This is the ritual. This is the preparation for the only 20 feet in the world where Donna Hartwell is the final word on everything. At 52, Donna has worked for Pinnacle Airways for 21 years. She started at the ticket counter at 32, 2 years after her divorce, and 2 months after her daughter moved to Phoenix with her father. She applied for the supervisory track 4 times. She was passed over each time, once for a 28-year-old with 3 years at the company, once for a woman who had come from a competitor airline, once in a round of promotions she still cannot explain without her voice getting tight. She stopped applying after the 4th rejection. But here in this precise rectangle of carpet and chrome, she is not invisible. Here she decides who flies and who waits. Here she is, the gatekeeper in the most literal sense of the word, and she has spent 2 decades perfecting the performance of that power. She scans the boarding area with practiced efficiency. Her eyes move the way a security camera moves, not with curiosity, just surveillance. They land on the priority seating section. A man in a dark gray hoodie, tall, broad-shouldered, settled into the front row chair with the ease of someone who belongs exactly where he is sitting. Bose headphones around his neck. A hardcover book open in his lap, not his phone a book. He is reading without looking up. His worn leather duffel bag is tucked neatly beside his feet. Donna narrows her eyes. To her practiced, catastrophically wrong system of reading, people, none of this adds up. Expensive headphones, but no designer carry-on. Reading a physical book, trying too hard to look settled. Choosing the priority seats before boarding opens too comfortable, too confident. Dressed too casually for the caliber of seat implied by sitting in the first row of the Sky priority section. She mutters to Tara Vega, the 26-year-old junior agent stationed at the jetway door. Keep an eye on the man in the hoodie. I have a feeling he's going to try to board early with a basic economy ticket. Tara glances over. He looks pretty relaxed to me. It's the relaxed ones, Donna says, her voice dropping. They think if they seem confident enough, we won't look too closely. Tara says nothing. She turns back to the jetway door. Something in her stomach pulls tight. The pre-boarding chime sounds. Donna steps forward to the microphone. From the priority seating section, the man in the hoodie closes his book. He slides it into his duffel. He checks his watch, a heavy silver piece that catches the overhead light as he turns his wrist. He stands, picks up his bag and walks toward the lane marked Sky Priority with the unhurried stride of a man who has done this 1,000 times. There is no line yet. The lane is clear. He holds out his phone. The boarding pass is bright on the screen. Dr. M. Webb, Seat 2A, Group 1. Donna does not scan it. She looks at the screen, then up at him, then back at the screen. Her lip does something small, a micro-contraction at the left corner. Marcus Webb has seen that expression on 1,000 faces. He has learned to read it the way he reads the subtle signs a body gives before it fails. The tiny tells, the giveaways, the things people believe they are hiding. Sir Donna says, "This is the priority lane. General boarding opens in 15 minutes. I know. I'm in Seat 2A, first class." A short breath through her nose. Not quite a laugh. Seat 2A. Right. She takes the phone from his hand and looks at it as though she is examining evidence. The screen clearly reads Dr. M. Webb, Seat 2A, Group 1, Diamond Medallion. Most agents would have scanned it and wished him a good flight. The scan takes 1 second. The beep takes 1/4 of a second. The whole transaction takes less time than it takes to read his name. Donna hands the phone back without scanning it. "I need to see your ID," she says. Marcus sets his bag down. He reaches into the back pocket of his jeans and produces his wallet. He hands over his driver's license without comment. Donna holds it up to the light. She squints at the photo. She bends the card slightly, testing its flex. "This photo looks different from you." "It was taken 4 years ago." She sets it down. Still doesn't scan the boarding pass. She turns to her keyboard and begins typing slowly, deliberately. "Step aside, sir. I need to verify your ticket status." "Verify what my name is on the pass." The photo matches the license. The system is showing a flag. "What kind of flag?" Donna does not answer. Her eyes slide past him to the next person in line, a man in a business suit who has just walked up. She beams at him. "Mr. Farley, good to see you again." She scans the businessman's pass in one motion. "Beep." He walks through. Marcus stands 3 feet from the podium watching this. He is 44 years old. He has stood in this exact position, different airports, different agents, same dynamic more times than he can count. He knows every version of this moment. He knows what comes next if he raises his voice. He knows what comes next if he doesn't. He steps back up to the counter. "I'm going to need a specific reason," he says. "A specific articulable reason why my ticket cannot be scanned." Donna's voice shifts into the key she reserves for maximum damage. It rises. It carries. "You are hovering over my workspace and making my colleague feel unsafe. I am asking you to step aside or I will have to call security." 40 people in the boarding area look up. Marcus is still calm. His hands are at his sides. His voice has not risen by a single decibel. "I am standing at the boarding counter with a valid ticket," he says. "I have not raised my voice. I have not moved toward you. I have not been threatening in any way. I would like my ticket scanned." "Step aside. Final warning." Marcus looks at her for one long moment. He picks up his bag. He steps 3 feet to the left. He will wait. Because he knows how this works. Because he has always known how this works. He sends a text to his sister. It says, "It's happening again. I'm not going to make a scene." His sister texts back 30 seconds later. She says, "You never do. That's the problem." He looks at that message for a long time. In the back row of the gate area, Edward Calloway sets down his copy of the Wall Street Journal. He takes off his reading glasses. He folds them and places them in the breast pocket of his cardigan. He has been watching for exactly 11 minutes. He has done quarterly spot checks for 11 years, always dressed down, always anonymous, always watching how his people treat the people who trust his airline with their time, their comfort, their money, their dignity. He has seen slow agents. He has seen rude agents. He has seen tired agents who've been on their feet for 10 hours and just need the shift to end. He has never seen this. What he is watching is not exhaustion or incompetence. What he is watching is something deliberate and practiced, something that has been happening at this gate for a long time, something that has never been seen, because no one with the power to stop it has ever been sitting in this row of plastic chairs at 7:10 on a Wednesday evening. He tucks the newspaper under his arm. He waits. He watches Marcus Webb standing 3 feet from the podium, boarding pass in hand, watching passengers who arrived after him walk one by one through the jetway while Donna Hartwell smiles at every single one of them. Before we go any deeper into this moment, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments below. And if you believe that every single passenger who walks through an airport door deserves to be treated with dignity, hit subscribe, give this video a like, and let's make sure this story reaches every person who needs to hear it. Now back to Gate C-18, because this is only just beginning. To understand what is happening at Gate C-18 tonight, you have to understand the woman behind the podium. Because Donna Hartwell is not a simple person. She is not a cartoon. She is not a caricature of cruelty assembled for the purposes of this story. She is something much more recognizable than that, and much more dangerous. She is a person who built her entire sense of self-worth on a foundation of control, and who has been quietly, methodically, catastrophically wrong about people for the better part of 2 decades without a single consequence. Donna grew up in a small house in Evanston, the middle child of 3, the one nobody wrote poems about. Her older brother was athletic. Her younger sister was beautiful. Donna was the one who showed up on time, who turned in her homework, who organized the spice rack alphabetically because someone had to. She was not celebrated for this. She was expected to do it. She learned early that being correct and being recognized are 2 entirely different things. She married at 28 to a man named Gary who was charming at parties and absent everywhere else. The divorce finalized when she was 30, and it took with it not just the marriage, but the small house they had rented together, the joint savings account that turned out to be primarily her savings, and her daughter who chose to go to Phoenix with her father, because her father had a pool. Donna got a job at Pinnacle Airways at 32, starting at the ticket counter with the specific and earnest intention of building a career. She was good at the work. She was accurate. She was punctual. She knew the rule books better than people who had been there for a decade. She filed for the supervisory track at 35. She was passed over. She filed again at 37. Passed over. Again at 39. Again at 41. Each time the email arrived, always an email, never a conversation, always a name and a sentence about a strong pool of candidates. She felt the same thing, the specific humiliation of being overlooked for something you know you earned. She stopped filing at 42. She stopped believing the system rewarded the right things. What she kept was the gate. Gate C-18 became the thing that the supervisory track was supposed to be. In those 20 feet of rope dividers and carpet, Donna was the final word. She decided the order of boarding. She decided when volunteers were called for bumps. She decided which carry-ons got tagged for the hold and which ones were waved through. She decided the temperature of every interaction, warm, cold, efficient, punishing, and no one above her ever came down to the gate floor to check. Her numbers were fine. No formal complaints had ever gone further than the first supervisor review. The passengers she mistreated were by definition people without institutional power. They filed complaints that went nowhere. They told stories on social media that got 23 likes and disappeared. She was protected by her own target selection. The tragedy of Donna Hartwell, and it is a tragedy even now, even given everything she is about to do, is that she does not think of herself as a prejudiced person. She has built an elaborate internal architecture to prevent that conclusion. She calls what she does reading people. She calls it 21 years of experience. She has a mental catalog of what a Group 1 passenger looks like, the suits, the rolling carry-ons, the practiced efficiency of someone who travels constantly, and she applies it with the confidence of someone who has never been forced to examine the assumptions underneath. A man in a tailored suit with a rolling suitcase Group 1. A man in a dark gray hoodie with a worn leather duffel bag suspicious. She has never stopped to ask herself why she built the catalog the way she built it. She has never stopped to ask what information actually correlates with ticket class versus what information correlates with something else entirely. She has taken 2 decades of confirmation bias and packaged it as expertise. Tonight, that architecture is meeting a man who will take it apart. The oversold situation at Flight 994 matters to this story because it illuminates exactly how Donna's logic operates. 2 seats are oversold. The protocol is clear and simple. Make an announcement, offer travel vouchers, find volunteers. It takes about 5 minutes. It happens 1,000 times a day in airports around the world. The vouchers cost the airline a few $100s. The paperwork is standard. Donna hasn't made the announcement. She is looking for a cause denial instead. If she can find a legitimate reason to turn someone away, a flagged ticket, a mismatched ID, a behavior she can characterize as threatening, she doesn't have to run the voucher process. She saves the airline money. She keeps the boarding moving. In her own mind, this makes her not just good at her job, but exceptional at her job, a woman who finds creative efficiencies while everyone else follows the textbook. The fact that the creative efficiency requires her to manufacture a reason to deny a paying customer their seat is a detail she has trained herself not to examine. She looked at the manifest when Marcus Webb's boarding pass appeared on her screen. She saw his name, Dr. M. Webb. Seat 2A, Group 1, Diamond Medallion. There is nothing ambiguous about this. There is no flag. The system shows a confirmed paid valid reservation. She knows this. She has known it from the moment he walked up. She invented the flag. She is watching to see if he will fight it. Most people don't fight. Most people, faced with the specific weight of an authority figure behind a counter in a uniform telling them something is wrong, back down. They doubt themselves. They apologize. They take their bags to customer service and spend 40 minutes on the phone getting something resolved that was never actually broken. Marcus Webb has not backed down. He has been calm, specific, and immovable, and this has pushed Donna into escalation territory she didn't fully plan for. Tara Vega knows all of this. She is 26, 3 months into the job. She grew up in Pilsen on the south side of Chicago, the granddaughter of a woman who cleaned O'Hare terminals for 18 years. Her mother was a TSA agent for 12 years before a back injury ended her career. Tara grew up surrounded by the machinery of air travel, not from the inside of the planes, but from the side that keeps the planes running. She took this job because it was a step up, because the benefits were good, because she is good with people, and she believed she could be good at this. She has spent 3 months being trained by Donna Hartwell. She is terrified of Donna Hartwell, not because Donna has been cruel to her directly, but because Donna has a specific kind of social power that doesn't require cruelty. It requires only that you understand clearly and completely that she is the one who decides the temperature of every shift you share with her. She can make a day miserable in 40 small, invisible ways. She can ruin an evaluation with one carefully chosen phrase. She can make you feel over the course of 8 hours that you are not quite competent enough for this place. Tara has watched Donna at Gate C-18 for 3 months. She has seen the patterns. She knows which passengers get the warm smile and which ones get the flat, assessing look. She has told herself that it's Donna's style, Donna's personality, that she's just difficult. She has not let herself name what she is actually watching. Tonight, when Marcus Webb walked up to the podium, Tara saw his boarding pass on the phone screen before Donna touched it. She saw the name. She saw the seat number. She saw Group 1 printed clearly. She knows the manifest. She loaded it herself at 6:15 this morning. Dr. Marcus Webb has been on seat 2A since the reservation was made, and the reservation is as solid as a reservation gets. She almost said something. The words were right there, forming in her throat. Donna's eyes cut sideways. Not a command, just a look. Eyes on the jetway, Tara. Tara looked back at the jetway door. She has been standing here for 23 minutes now, staring at a jetway door that is not doing anything that requires her attention, while behind her a man with a valid ticket stands in timeout, and she says nothing. Her hands are not entirely still. She knows this is wrong. She has known it from the first second. And she is saying nothing. And the weight of that silence is sitting in her chest like a stone, getting heavier with every passenger who walks past Marcus Webb and disappears down the jetway. Her grandmother cleaned these floors for 18 years. She stares at the door. Dr. Marcus Webb is 44 years old, and he has been awake for 31 hours. The last time he slept was Tuesday morning before a 12-hour surgical rotation that ran 11 hours and 56 minutes, and ended with a successful resection of a grade 3 glioma in a 34-year-old woman who will make a full recovery. When she woke up and was told it went well, she cried so hard she couldn't speak for 2 minutes, while her husband held her hand and Marcus stood in the doorway of the recovery room and felt the particular quiet satisfaction that is the only thing in his life he has never had to question. After the rotation, he went directly to Northwestern University to deliver a keynote at a neurological symposium. His talk was 45 minutes on advancements in pediatric brain tumor imaging, a field in which his research has, over the past 6 years, contributed to a 19% improvement in early detection rates for children under 12. He had written the talk 2 weeks ago in the margins of other things, between surgeries, between meetings on the train at 5 a.m. with coffee. He gave it without notes. After the symposium, he took a cab to O'Hare. He is going to Washington, D.C. for 2 reasons. Tomorrow morning, he has a meeting at the National Institutes of Health about a research grant for a pediatric neurology program he has been building for 4 years. The grant is $3.2 million, and it will fund a clinic that will provide free brain tumor screening to children in underserved neighborhoods in Chicago, Baltimore, and Atlanta. It is the most important professional meeting of his year. Tomorrow evening, his nephew turns 12. His nephew is named Darius, and he is the best chess player Marcus has ever seen at that age, which is saying something because Marcus himself was good. He has Darius's gift in his duffel bag, a hand-carved chess set from a craftsman in Morocco that Marcus ordered 3 months ago and carried on every trip since, waiting for this evening to come. He is also carrying in the front zippered pocket of the worn leather duffel a small framed photograph of his mother. She is 71. She survived breast cancer at 58 and melanoma at 66. She lives in a house in Bronzeville that Marcus bought her 12 years ago when he finally could. She calls every Sunday. This is the man standing 3 feet from Donna Hartwell's podium with a boarding pass glowing on his phone. This is who she is looking at and not seeing. Marcus learned very early that the world was going to require him to be excellent in ways it didn't require of everyone. Not good excellent. Not adequate exceptional. He understood this not as injustice, but as physics, not because it should be this way, but because it was. And adapting to physics is not the same as surrendering to it. He grew up in Southside Chicago. His father drove a postal truck for 28 years. His mother worked at the Board of Education. They were not poor in the way the word usually gets used, but they were careful. They were the family for whom every large purchase was a conversation first and a decision second. Marcus was the first person in his family to go to college, and the acceptance letter from the University of Chicago arrived on a Tuesday afternoon in April when he was 17 and when he showed it to his father. His father read it 3 times, and then put it down on the kitchen table and went to the window and stood there for a moment, his back to the room, and then came back and folded Marcus into a hug that lasted long enough to make Marcus slightly uncomfortable and entirely certain that his father was crying. He got into medical school on his 2nd application. He did his residency in neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins, which is one of the hardest residencies in the country, and which he completed 3 months early. He became chief of neurosurgery at Mount Calvary Hospital in Chicago at 38, the youngest person to hold that position in the hospital's 97-year history and the first African American. He carries that fact lightly. It is simply true. What he has also learned, what a man in his position learns and never stops learning, is the 1,001 ways the world finds to tell him he is in the wrong place. The colleague who asked after Marcus's first major published paper whose lab he worked in, not which lab, whose, as though the work must belong to someone else's supervision. The patient who, waking from anesthesia, said, "Where's my real doctor?" before anyone had said a word. The security guard at his own hospital at 11 p.m., who stopped him in the parking garage because he was in scrubs without his badge. He has driven a practical car his entire life. He wore his white coat in places he didn't need to for years just to give the world a reference point it could navigate without becoming an obstacle. He has walked into high-end restaurants and high-end hotels and high-end airports and felt the specific wordless communication of "you might be in the wrong place." A tilting of the universe barely perceptible, calibrated specifically so that if you named it, you would sound unreasonable. He has never once sounded unreasonable. He has never been able to afford to. When Marcus was 22, he was a pre-medical student at the University of Chicago. His mother had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2, treatable, but the word cancer does not come with adjectives that make it land softly. He had saved for 4 weeks to buy a ticket home. He wore his best shirt. He arrived at the gate 40 minutes before boarding. The gate agent told him his seat had been given to a standby passenger. "The system shows you as a no-show," she said. She had not looked up from her screen when she said it. He showed her the printed boarding pass. She glanced at it. "The system overrides the physical pass. There's nothing I can do. You can try standby for the next flight." He stood at the counter for a moment. He was 22. His mother had cancer. He had saved for this ticket. He said, "When is the next flight?" 4 hours. He sat in that airport for 4 hours and 50 minutes. He missed the first chemotherapy appointment. His mother's neighbor drove her. He made it for the second one. He did not cry in the airport. He sat in a plastic chair near a window that overlooked a runway, and he watched planes take off, and he made a decision that he has since recognized as the exact moment his life took its final shape. He decided sitting there in that chair with his saved-for ticket, and his best shirt, and his mother starting chemo without him, that he was going to become someone the world could not erase. Not for revenge. He was too tired for revenge. Too purposeful. He became a neurosurgeon because the world needed one more than it needed his grief. He became the best one he knew how to be, because that was the only kind of becoming worth doing. He never named the gate agent. He never filed a complaint. He had no proof of anything beyond his own experience of it. And he already understood at 22 that his experience of it was not the same as evidence. He thinks about that airport sometimes. He is thinking about it now. Standing 3 feet from Donna Hartwell's podium at Gate C-18, his nephew's chess set in his duffel bag, his boarding pass bright on his phone, watching a man in a business suit walk past him and down the jetway without a second glance. His sister's text is still on his screen. "You never do. That's the problem." He reads it again. He picks up his bag. He walks back to the counter. "Everyone in the priority lane has boarded," Marcus says. His voice is level. "It has been level this entire time. Are you ready to process my ticket?" Donna does not look up from her screen. "Your ticket is still showing a hold. I told you to wait." "Then I need a supervisor. If there's a technical issue, I'd like someone with authorization to resolve it." Donna stops typing. She turns her body toward him, the full pivot, the squared shoulders, the deliberate physical reorientation that says, "I am about to change this situation." "I don't like your tone," she says. Marcus pauses. He has not raised his voice. He has not moved toward her. He has not made a single gesture that could be characterized as threatening by any rational observer. "I haven't raised my voice," he says. "You've been hovering. You've been aggressive. You have been making my colleague uncomfortable from the moment you walked up here, and I am not going to allow a hostile passenger to continue disrupting my gate." She reaches for the desk phone. "I am going to mark this as a refusal to transport. You can go to customer service in Terminal 2 and rebook for tomorrow." The gate area is completely silent. 43 people are watching. Marcus looks at her. He looks at the phone in his hand. He looks at the seat number on the boarding pass. 2A. He has been in that seat 47 times. He thinks about his nephew. He thinks about his mother's photograph in the front pocket of his duffel. He thinks about a 22-year-old in a plastic chair watching planes take off. "I want the supervisor," Marcus says. "And I want it documented that I've been standing here with a valid ticket for 26 minutes. From the back row of the gate area, unhurried and certain, comes the sound of a man standing up. Donna reaches for the gate microphone before she calls the supervisor. This is not an accident. This is a choice. The choice of someone who has decided that if she is going to be challenged in her space, she is going to make the challenge as public and as damaging as possible. Her voice goes through the gate area like a blade. "Attention, Pinnacle Airways passengers at Gate C18. We are currently managing a verification hold on one passenger in the priority lane. Boarding will proceed normally for all other groups. If you are being asked to wait, please remain patient while our security team addresses the situation. Thank you for your understanding." She doesn't say his name. She doesn't have to. There is one person standing in the priority lane. Every person in the gate area knows exactly who the announcement is about. Marcus does not move. He stands very still, the way he stands when something requires his absolute attention, the way he stands at an operating table when something unexpected happens and every decision for the next 30 seconds is going to matter. Stillness is not passivity. Stillness in those moments is the most active thing in the room. He watches the eyes. A woman with 2 small children pulls them a little closer. Not from fear of him. Marcus registers, but from the ambient wrongness of the moment, the feeling that something is badly off-key. A young couple in the window seats exchange a glance. A retired woman in a yellow cardigan sitting in the second row looks at Marcus with the particular expression of someone who is deciding something. Sophie Navarro, seated in the third row with a travel journalist's instinct for the thing that is about to matter, lifts her phone. She has 2.1 million followers across 3 platforms. She has written about aviation equity for The Atlantic and for 2 major newspapers. She is not performing outrage right now. She is genuinely, quietly horrified by what she is watching. She starts recording. Jake Whitfield, 38. A tech executive from Naperville seated in the business section of the boarding area looks up from his laptop. He is a white man in a Navy suit who flies 60,000 miles a year and has never once been asked for a secondary ID verification at a boarding gate. He watches the man in the hoodie standing calmly with his boarding pass. He watches Donna's face. He watches the microphone announcement. He takes out his phone. He starts recording too. Marcus speaks. His voice is measured and clear and carries exactly as far as he intends it to. "You just announced a security concern about me specifically over a public address system to the entire gate area. I deserve to know what the specific security concern is. Sir, I don't have to explain our security procedures to passengers. You announced them publicly about a specific passenger. That passenger is me. What is the flag?" Donna's jaw tightens. She picks up her walkie-talkie from the belt clip. "This is Gate C18. I need a supervisor at the gate. Passenger non-compliance issue." The crackle of a response. 2 minutes, the radio answers. Marcus nods once. "I'll wait for the supervisor." "You'll step aside." "I'll stand here and wait for the supervisor." Those 2 things aren't mutually exclusive. In the back row, the man in the beige cardigan watches all of this. His face is still. He has a gift for stillness that comes from decades of making consequential decisions, the ability to watch a situation develop without his own reaction contaminating his reading of it. He has watched 8 minutes of this interaction. He has seen enough to know the shape of what he is looking at. He is waiting to see if the supervisor resolves it. Gary Bloom is 45 years old, 14 years with Pinnacle Airways, and currently functioning as the terminal shift supervisor for an evening. He's been trying to get through with minimal complications because his daughter has a school play at 8:30, and he has been promised he can leave by 8 if nothing goes wrong. He walks to Gate C18 in a hurry, which means he is already slightly behind the pace of the situation he is walking into. He looks at the scene, a man in a hoodie standing at the podium with a phone in his hand. Donna behind the counter with her arms crossed, the gate area full of passengers, who are all distinctly paying attention. Gary performs a calculus in approximately 3 seconds. That is not a moral calculation and is not a logical calculation. It is a political calculation. Donna has been here for 21 years. She runs a clean gate. Her numbers are good. The man at the counter is a passenger he doesn't know, and the passenger is the source of the situation. In Gary Bloom's world, the employee is the default and the passenger is the variable. He has made this calculation before. He will spend a long time afterward wishing he hadn't. "Sir, if the agent has asked you to step aside, I need you to do that." Marcus turns to look at him. He is entirely composed. "I've been waiting 28 minutes with a valid first-class ticket while the agent refuses to scan my boarding pass. My name is Dr. Marcus Webb. I have a Diamond Medallion membership and a confirmed reservation in Seat 2A. I would like to know what is flagging my ticket." Gary glances at Donna. Something passes between them, not a conversation, just an alignment. He pulls up the screen. His eyes move across it. Marcus watches Gary's face. He watches the moment Gary sees it, the moment Gary reads the manifest and understands with the clarity of someone looking at a document that says exactly what it says, that Dr. Marcus Webb has been on this flight since 6 o'clock this morning, and there is nothing wrong with his ticket. There has never been anything wrong with his ticket. Gary knows. Marcus knows that Gary knows. Gary knows that Marcus knows. Gary makes the coward's choice. "The system is showing a verification hold," he says. "Until it's resolved, I need you to wait in the customer service area." "Gary." Marcus's voice drops. Not aggressive, not threatening. Something quieter than that and more devastating. "Look at my boarding pass. Look at my name. Look at my seat number. Tell me one specific technical reason, one why this pass cannot be scanned right now." Gary opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. Because there is no answer. There is no technical reason. There has never been a technical reason. From the third row, Sophie Navarro speaks. She is not performing. She is simply a person who has been watching something wrong for 30 minutes and has found her threshold. He's right. Why can't you just scan it? That's a yes or no question. Donna, without turning, "Please stay out of airline security matters." "This isn't a security matter," Sophie says. He's been standing there with a valid boarding pass for half an hour. Jake Whitfield from the business section looks up from his phone. He is still filming. How long has this been going on? Marcus looks at his watch. 31 minutes. Gary shifts. Something in him wants to do the right thing, and something else larger, more habitual, prevents it. "Sir, I'm asking you to please move to customer service for your comfort and to keep the boarding process moving." "My comfort." Marcus repeats the word with a precision that makes it land as exactly what it is: absurd. "You're asking me to leave the gate for my comfort. I'm comfortable here. I have a ticket. I'd like to board my flight." The gate area has gone very quiet. The retired woman in the yellow cardigan stands up. She is perhaps 70 years old. She has the posture of a former school teacher, which is exactly what she is. "Young man," she says, addressing Marcus directly, "I can see everything from here. You're doing everything right." She turns to Gary. "What exactly is the problem with scanning his ticket?" Gary says nothing. In the back row, Edward Calloway stands up. Not urgently, not dramatically. He stands the way he does everything, with the unhurried deliberateness of a man who knows that speed is not the same as effectiveness. He begins walking toward the podium. Gary Bloom makes the decision that defines his career, not because it is the most dramatic decision he makes tonight, but because it is the most cowardly. "Ma'am," he says to Donna, "let's have security escort Dr. Webb to the customer service area." "No," Marcus says. "One word, clean and final." "Sir." "I said no. You are not escorting me anywhere. I have a valid ticket. I have broken no law. I have violated no policy. You will need to provide a specific documented reason before you touch me or my bag, and you will need to produce it right now." Gary reaches for Marcus's arm. Marcus takes one step back, deliberate, unhurried, precise. "Do not touch me." The 3 words contain 31 years of knowing what happens when a black man in an airport is physically engaged by airport staff, and the wrong people are the ones telling the story afterward. They contain medical training, professional discipline, and the specific survival intelligence of a man who has navigated these moments successfully by never once giving anyone a narrative to use against him. Gary's hand stops in the air. Sophie Navarro goes live. Her viewer count starts at 0, climbs to 1,200 in 30 seconds, hits 4,200 in 90 seconds. Her caption reads, "What is happening at O'Hare right now? Gate C-18. Pinnacle Airways. Watch." She is not editorializing. She does not need to. The footage is the editorial. Jake Whitfield has been filming for 9 minutes. He types 3 words and hits post. This is wrong. He attaches the video. He will not check his phone again for 4 hours, and when he does, the video will have been viewed 14 million times. The retired schoolteacher remains standing. Tara Vega at the jetway door stares at the floor. Her hands are pressed flat against the sides of her legs. Donna, reading the room, reads it incorrectly. She sees phones raised. She sees attention. She interprets this as pressure she needs to neutralize, and her response to pressure is always escalation. Her voice drops to the key she uses when she wants to end things. "You are hereby denied transportation on Pinnacle Airways Flight 994 due to threatening and unruly behavior. You need to vacate this gate area immediately. If you do not vacate, I will contact airport authorities." Marcus looks at her. He looks at the boarding pass on his phone. He looks at the 40-some people watching. He says very quietly, "Make the call." Donna reaches for the desk phone. From the back of the seating area, a calm, certain gravelly voice, "I wouldn't do that." Sophie Navarro has been a travel journalist for 7 years. She has written pieces that changed airline policies and airport accessibility standards. She has broken stories about crew misconduct and gate discrimination. She has sat in more gate areas, in more airports, in more time zones than she can accurately account for, and she has, in all of that time, never once pulled out her phone and gone live at a boarding gate. She is doing it now because what she is watching is not an edge case. It is not ambiguous. It is not a misunderstanding or a bad day or a communication failure between 2 people who both have a point. It is a man standing calmly with a valid ticket while a gate agent invents reasons to deny him his seat, and it is happening in front of 40 people, and it has been happening for 32 minutes, and nobody with institutional power has stopped it. She goes live with the specific intention of creating institutional pressure because she has been in this industry long enough to know that nothing else works. "This is Sophie Navarro at O'Hare International Airport, Terminal 2, Gate C-18, she says, her voice measured. "I'm going to describe what I have personally witnessed in the last 32 minutes. A black man in a dark gray hoodie approached the Sky Priority Lane with a boarding pass showing first-class seat 2A Group 1. The gate agent refused to scan it. She demanded secondary ID verification. She made a public announcement over the gate PA about a security concern about this specific passenger with no other basis than the fact that she doesn't want to scan his ticket. She pauses. He has not raised his voice. He has not moved toward anyone. He has not made any threatening gesture. He has asked a simple question 3 times. "Why won't you scan my boarding pass?" Nobody has answered. 4,200 viewers. The number climbs. She turns the camera to the podium where Donna is reaching for the phone, and Gary is standing beside the counter with the particular stillness of a man who knows he is watching a disaster unfold and has somehow decided that doing nothing is the same as not being responsible for it. 8,000 viewers. "He just told her to make the call," Sophie says quietly. "She's calling security." Jake Whitfield is not an activist. He is not a journalist. He is a tech executive from Naperville who voted in local elections and occasionally signed online petitions, and considered himself in the general way of people who have never been forced to be specific about it to be a decent person who cared about fairness. He has flown Pinnacle Airways approximately 60,000 miles a year for 6 years. He has never waited longer than 45 seconds at a priority boarding lane. He has never been asked for a secondary ID check. He has never had his boarding pass examined as though it might be a forgery. He has been filming for 9 minutes and 22 seconds. The audio is clear. He is close enough that every word from the podium is captured without distortion. He texts his wife, "I'm posting this. Tell me if I shouldn't." She texts back in 40 seconds. "Post it. Post it now." He writes 3 words. "This is wrong," and attaches the video and hits post. He puts his phone in his pocket. He will not look at it again until they land in D.C., where the notification count will be a number he cannot process standing in an airport. 14 million views in 4 hours, 31 million in 12. The comment section will contain every language spoken in cities with international airports. Most of the comments will say some version of the same thing, which is, "I know this. I have seen this. I have felt this. I have been this man," or "I have been the person who watched and didn't speak. And now I am watching and I am speaking." In the gate area, the moment has reached the temperature at which individual people begin to make individual choices. The retired school teacher from Oak Park, whose name is Frances Gable 71, and who taught 7th grade English for 34 years, is standing. She has been standing since Marcus said, "I'm not going to make a scene" to his sister on his phone because she lip reads. She has for 20 years since her hearing started to go, and she read those words from across the gate area, and something in her decided she was done sitting. A young couple in the window seats holds hands. They are not filming. They are just bearing witness, which is its own form of presence. A businessman in the 4th row slowly, deliberately closes his laptop. He sits with it on his knees and watches. He is communicating by the physical language of it that this moment has his full attention. 3 rows back, a mother of 2 watches her children watch Marcus, and she makes a decision that will lead 7 years from now to a conversation with her teenage daughter about what it means to stay in your seat when someone tells you to move. In the Pinnacle Airways Social Media Monitoring Center on the 14th floor of their Chicago headquarters, a 24-year-old analyst named Felix Rodriguez is watching 3 screens simultaneously when the first notification hits, then the second. Then they start coming too fast to track individually, and the dashboard turns from green to amber to the deep specific red that means a trending situation is already beyond the early intervention stage. He calls his supervisor. His supervisor calls the VP of Communications. The VP of Communications reaches for the CEO's direct line. No one answers. Edward Calloway left his phone on the seat beside his copy of the Wall Street Journal when he stood up and began walking toward the podium. He's already there. Tara Vega is still at the jetway door. She has not moved. She has been standing in the same 8 square feet for 34 minutes while the situation behind her has built from a refusal to scan a boarding pass into something that is now being watched in real time by tens of thousands of people and climbing. She can hear Sophie Navarro's commentary from 3 rows back. She can hear the crowd murmuring. She knows what her terminal looks like on the screen of every phone currently pointed at the podium. She knows what she looks like the young agent at the door who has said nothing. Her grandmother cleaned these floors. Her mother stopped filing complaints because she was told she would be reassigned if she kept pressing. Tara looks at the back of Marcus Webb's head. He is standing straight. He has been standing straight for 34 minutes. She has said nothing. Her grandmother cleaned these floors for 18 years and never once was asked if she was sure she belonged. Tara Vega turns away from the jetway door. She has not decided exactly what she is going to say. She only knows that she is going to say something, and that whatever comes out of her mouth in the next few seconds is going to be the truest thing she has ever said in a professional context, and also possibly the thing that costs her this job. She decides the job is worth less than the truth. She takes a step toward the podium. Edward Calloway walks toward the podium with his hands in his cardigan pockets. There is no urgency in his stride. This is not performance. This is the physical expression of a man who has learned over 4 decades of professional life that urgency and pressure are not the same thing. Urgency is visible. It announces itself. It gives the person you are walking toward time to prepare to posture to dig in. Pressure applied slowly and from a direction no one is expecting is a different instrument entirely. He built Pinnacle Airways from a regional carrier with 11 planes and a hub in Cincinnati. He built it over 22 years into the 8th largest airline in North America, with 340 aircraft, 28,000 employees, and routes on 4 continents. He did this by being fundamentally a person who understood the difference between what things appeared to be and what they actually were. He spent 11 years conducting unannounced observation visits to his own gates, check-in counters, lounges, and service desks. Not because he didn't trust his manager's reports, because he understood that reports told him what the organization believed about itself, and observation told him what the organization actually was. He has never seen what he is seeing tonight. He stops at the edge of the podium. He is 2 feet from the counter. "Excuse me." Donna's head comes up. She reads him the way she reads everyone: the cardigan, the khakis, the reading glasses, the newspaper under his arm. She reads him as retired, non-threatening, probably Group 4, probably annoyed about the delay. "Sir, please remain seated until your zone is called." "I've been seated for 32 minutes, Edward says. "I believe I've seen what I needed to see." A pause. Something in his phrasing. Donna's eyes narrow slightly. "I'm managing a security situation. Please return to your seat." Gary Bloom, sensing something he can't name, steps forward. "Sir, this is a gate matter." Edward turns his gaze to Gary with an ease that stops Gary mid-sentence. Not hostile, not cold, simply focused in a way that makes the rest of the room feel temporarily peripheral. "Gary," Edward says, "from the Cleveland hub, transferred to O'Hare in 2019. You had strong reviews in Cleveland, Gary. I read them." A pause. "I've been watching this interaction for 32 minutes. The gentleman at your podium has a valid ticket. He has shown valid ID. He has not raised his voice. He has been standing with a boarding pass showing seat 2, a Group 1 diamond medallion for 32 minutes, while other passengers have boarded around him." Another pause. "I'd like to know what the specific flag is." Gary's face has gone through 3 different expressions in 4 seconds. "Who are you?" Donna says. Her tone is the one she uses when she has decided that someone needs to be reminded where the power sits. Edward Calloway smiles. It is a specific smile. The small, particular smile of a man who has heard that question from the wrong person at the wrong time and knows exactly what is about to happen. "I'm going to show you," he says. He reaches into the inside pocket of his cardigan. Donna's hand moves toward her walkie-talkie. He produces a black leather lanyard with an ID card attached. He does not hold it up theatrically. He places it on the counter, face up, with the quiet deliberateness of someone setting down a document that doesn't need gestures to make its point. The ID card reads Edward Calloway, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Pinnacle Airways. The photograph is this man. The name is this man. The title is the title of the person whose signature appears at the bottom of Donna Hartwell's employment contract and every employment contract in the room. Donna stares at it. The color of her face undergoes a change that Sophie Navarro will later describe in an article that wins a journalism award as watching a weather system collapse. The pink drains first, then the structure of her expression, the practiced authority. The set jaw, the assessing narrowness of her eyes loses its architecture. Something underneath is suddenly visible, and what is visible is not certainty. It is not power. It is the face of a person who has just understood the full dimension of what they have done. Edward speaks quietly, clearly, for the entire gate area. "Tara, please type the executive override code at your terminal. Echo Charlie 01. Donna's voice cuts hard. "Don't you touch that keyboard!" Tara Vega has taken 3 steps toward the podium. She is at her terminal. She looks at the ID on the counter. She has seen this face in the company's annual report. She saw it in the employee orientation video on her first day. She saw it in the February town hall webcast that was sent to every employee in the system. She looks at Donna. She looks at Edward. She looks at Marcus Webb standing beside the podium with his boarding pass in his hand, and the quiet, unhurried patience of a man who has decided that he is not going anywhere until something honest happens. Tara types the code, EC01. The overhead departure board goes dark for 3 seconds. Then it resolves to a single line, executive access confirmed. E. Calloway, Chairman and CEO, Pinnacle Airways. The gate area makes a sound. Not a word, not a shout, not a cheer. Just an intake of breath from 40 people simultaneously, the sound of a room receiving information it has not yet fully processed. Donna stares at the screen. She stares at it for 4 seconds. Then she looks at the card, then at Edward. Her brain, confronted with a reality that would require the complete demolition of her entire worldview, performs the extraordinary act of refusing to accept the evidence. "That's a fake," she says. Her voice has a new quality now, a high, strange register she has never used before. Where did you get that? Did you make that? Edward does not raise his voice. Donna, look at your screen. Look at the override code. There are exactly 3 people in this company with that clearance. Me, the COO, and the Director of Internal Security. You used a jammer. You hacked the display. She slams both hands on her keyboard, hammering escape, trying anything to make the screen go back to normal. Tara, call security. Tell them we're being compromised. Gary Bloom has gone completely still. He is looking at the screen. He is looking at Edward. He is looking at his own career from a significant distance. Brenda Tara whispers, her voice trembling. Stop! That's him! I've seen him! That's Mr. Calloway! You have to stop! You're an idiot, Donna hisses. They try this all the time. Fake credentials to get upgrades, Donna. Edward's voice drops to the register of someone who is finished being patient. I am giving you one opportunity. 1. To stop what you are doing, return to your professionalism. Apologize to Dr. Webb and scan his boarding pass. What you do in the next 30 seconds tells me everything I need to know about who we hired 21 years ago. The gate area holds its breath. Sophie Navarro's viewer count reads 47,000 and climbing. Donna looks at Marcus. She looks at the crowd. She sees the phones. She sees the faces. She sees for the first time the full shape of what is watching her. And she makes the worst decision of her professional life. Donna laughs. It is the wrong kind of laugh. A high fractured sound that exits her throat before she can shape it into something controlled. It is the laugh of a person whose internal architecture is actively failing and who has chosen to treat the structural collapse as an opportunity rather than a warning. Sophie Navarro still live on 3 platforms, 47,000 viewers, and Rising says quietly into her phone, she just laughed. The CEO of the airline is standing at the gate. He's shown his ID. The system has confirmed his access. And she just laughed. Donna points at the ID card on the counter. Tremendous effort, she says. Really? Did you print the laminate yourself, or did someone do that for you? A beat of absolute silence. Then, from the window seat, the businessman who closed his laptop. He's the CEO. The screen confirmed it. Donna doesn't turn. Stay out of it. The screen is still showing it. I said stay out of it. Marcus Webb speaks for the first time in several minutes. He has been watching this, watching Donna's face, reading the escalation pattern, recognizing with clinical precision the behavioral signature of a person whose ego is choosing self-destruction over reality. He has seen this in operating rooms. A surgeon who makes a mistake and cannot say so. The moment when the cost of being wrong exceeds the capacity to admit it. I am a neurosurgeon, Marcus says. Chief of Surgery at Mount Calvary Hospital, Chicago. My name is on the manifest. My boarding pass has been valid since 6 o'clock this morning. He pauses one beat. You have one more chance to do the right thing. Donna stares at him. She turns to Gary. Gary is studying the floor tile. She turns to Tara. Tara has moved to the open area between the podium and the counter, standing closer to Marcus than to Donna, which is its own statement. Donna reaches for the desk phone. Donna. Edward's voice is different now. The patience is gone, replaced by something flat and precise. Do not place that call. Do not report a false emergency. I felt threatened, Donna says. I feel unsafe. I have 2 unidentified men, one of whom you have just been informed is the CEO of this airline, who have been harassing me and making false claims about their identities, and I am a safety compliance representative for this flight, and I have every right. Put the phone down. Donna dials, not the internal security line, not the terminal authority. 911. She has made this calculation a fast, panicked, catastrophically wrong calculation that an outside authority arriving with the weight of law enforcement will override the corporate hierarchy that has just appeared at her gate uninvited. She believes that if she controls the language of the emergency call, she controls what the responding officers find when they arrive. The call connects. Her voice shifts into a register Marcus will later describe in an interview he gives 3 months from now as the most deliberate performance of distress he has ever witnessed. It is not fear. It is the architectural imitation of fear built and deployed in real time by a person who has decided that the only exit from this situation runs directly through the worst possible door. Emergency. This is Pinnacle Airways Gate C-18 O'Hare Terminal 2. I have 2 individuals who have breached our gate security. They are threatening staff. One of them has presented fraudulent credentials. I believe they may be armed. I need immediate assistance. She sets the phone down. She looks at Edward. She looks at Marcus. For one moment, her face holds the expression of someone who believes they have just won. Let's see whose ID matters when there are badges and guns in this room. The gate area goes silent in a way that silence usually isn't. Not the silence of people who have nothing to say. The silence of people who have just watched someone do something that cannot be undone. Sophie Navarro's voice drops to almost nothing. She just called it in. She reported an armed threat, with 47,000 people watching. Live. A pause. I don't have words for this. Marcus looks at Edward. His hands are very still. His voice, when it comes, is barely above a whisper. She swatted us. Edward's face does the thing Marcus has not seen it do yet tonight. The patience leaves. What replaces it is not anger in the ordinary sense. It is colder and more precise than anger. It is the expression of someone who has run a company for 22 years and has just identified a problem that needs to be removed from the system. Tara Vega takes 3 more steps away from the podium. She crosses to the open area where Marcus is standing. She stops in front of him. She is shaking her hands. Her voice all of it, but she doesn't stop. Dr. Webb? Her voice is not steady. It doesn't matter. It carries. I owe you an apology. I saw your boarding pass when you first walked up. I saw your name on the manifest. I knew your ticket was valid from the first minute you stood at that counter. I didn't say anything. I should have. I'm sorry. Marcus looks at her. Something in his face that is not the specific expression he has worn for the last 40 minutes. Something like recognition. You're saying it now, he says. She nods. She turns to the gate area. She uses all of it. His ticket was valid. His name is Dr. Marcus Webb. He has a confirmed first-class reservation for Seat 2A on Flight 994. He was at this podium for 40 minutes. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten anyone. He did not do a single thing wrong. Her voice breaks on the last sentence and she holds it together. Not one thing. From the back of the gate area, the retired schoolteacher Francis Gable starts clapping. Once, twice, a steady, deliberate rhythm. The businessman who closed his laptop joins. Then the young couple by the window. Then a man in a gray suit near the aisle who has been watching the entire time and said nothing, and who will tell his wife tonight that he stayed silent and should not have. The applause builds in the way that applause builds when it is not about performance, when it is about something that has been wrong for a long time and has just been named out loud, and the naming of it creates a specific collective relief. Sophie Navarro, 47,000 viewers, says nothing. She lets the camera watch the gate. From the hallway outside Terminal 2, the sound of footsteps, the particular percussive rhythm of boots on airport linoleum moving fast. Donna straightens. She smooths her blazer. She arranges her face into the mask of a frightened, mistreated woman making a last stand. She has no idea which direction the response is coming from. They come around the corner at Gate C-18 with the velocity of a report about armed individuals at a commercial aviation security point. 4 Chicago PD officers and 2 TSA agents moving with the specific kinetic urgency of a law enforcement response that has received a word armed and has processed that word and moved before the rest of the information could catch up. The lead officer is Sergeant Danny Robles, 41-6 years, stationed at O'Hare, a man who has responded to 73 emergency calls at this airport and has never once found an actual armed individual at a gate, but who moves as though each call is the one that will be different, because the day he doesn't move that way is the day it is. Behind him, the gate area turns into something closer to chaos, passengers pressing back against windows, a child crying. The ambient noise of the airport briefly swallowed by the hard sounds of equipment and boots and radio static. Hands. Let me see everyone's hands. Marcus raises his hands. Both of them. Palms out, fingers spread the precise geometry of total submission. It is not a decision he makes by thinking. It is muscle memory. And the fact that it is muscle memory, the fact that this configuration of his body in response to this sound and this authority has been practiced and stored at a level below conscious thought is its own statement about a life lived navigating certain specific landscapes. He does not kneel. He stays standing. He says clearly and without volume, I am unarmed. I am a physician. My name is Dr. Marcus Webb. I am a passenger with a valid first-class ticket. I have not threatened anyone. Edward raises his hands at his sides, palms visible down. He stands with the ease of a man who has been in rooms with this much pressure before and has not been diminished by any of them. Sergeant Edward says, his voice carrying over the noise. My name is Edward Calloway. I am the CEO of Pinnacle Airways. The emergency call you received was false. I will take full responsibility for explaining the complete situation. Donna from behind this podium. They're the ones. Both of them. Those are the ones. Sergeant Robles is a man who prides himself on reading situations fast. He is taking in everything simultaneously. The screen above the gate still displaying executive access confirmed. The young Latina agent standing in the middle of the floor visibly shaking, positioned conspicuously close to the man in the hoodie. The older woman in the yellow cardigan who looks ready to give testimony, and the woman behind the podium whose face has the specific quality of someone performing distress rather than experiencing it. His hand stays at his belt, but the strap is still on the snap. Get on the ground, his colleague shouts at Edward. Down, now. Officer, a voice from the jetway. Captain Rita Flores walks through the jetway door with 4 gold stripes on her shoulders and the measured pace of someone who has landed a 737 in a Denver crosswind and does not experience O'Hare Terminal 2 as a particularly high-pressure environment by comparison. She reads the scene in 4 seconds, comprehensive priority ranked actionable. Sergeant Robles. She knows him from 3 years of O'Hare safety coordination meetings. Captain Flores. The command edge in his voice loses 2 degrees of pressure. She points to the overhead screen. That man, she indicates Edward, is Edward Calloway. He is my employer. I flew his private charter from Chicago to Boston 7 weeks ago. He sits in the back row. He reads. She turns to Marcus. And that gentleman has been on my passenger manifest since 6 o'clock this morning. Dr. Marcus Webb, seat 2A, first class. Confirmed, paid, verified. His name has been there all day. Donna from behind the podium. She's covering for them. Ma'am? Robles cuts her off with 2 words that have the force of a door closing. Stop talking. He crosses to the podium. His voice has the specific quality of professional cold, not raised, not theatrical, just dense with consequence. You placed the 911 call from this station. I felt unsafe. Did you report these individuals as potentially armed? Donna's jaw works. I said I believed. I have the recording from the dispatch center, ma'am. The word armed was used. You said I believe they may be armed. He leans forward slightly. Were they armed? A silence. They were acting threatening. Were they armed, yes or no? The silence this time is longer. No, Donna says. So you reported 2 men as potentially armed to emergency services knowing they were not armed. I was scared. Feeling scared and reporting a weapon are separated by a word, Robles says. That word is felony. He straightens. He looks at his colleague, Officer Isabel Martinez, who has moved around to the back of the podium during the exchange. Edward Calloway's voice cuts through the room, quiet and final. Donna, you are relieved of duty effective immediately. Your Pinnacle Airways credentials are deactivated as of this moment. You are prohibited from Pinnacle property. Step out from behind the counter and do what the officer says. Donna looks at Tara. The look contains everything. 4 months of small cruelties, stolen authority, implied threats. The weight of every morning, Tara arrived at this gate and had to spend 8 hours calibrating herself to Donna's mood. Tara meets it. They weren't threatening, Tara says. Her voice is steady now, the shaking resolved into something harder and clearer. Dr. Webb was polite from the first moment. He asked why his ticket wasn't being scanned. That was the whole thing. That was all he ever asked. She looks directly at Donna. You know his ticket was valid. You've known it this whole time. Donna lunges toward Tara, not with the precision of intention, but with the blind motion of someone who has lost all remaining judgment. Officer Martinez catches her arm at the elbow. The motion is smooth, practiced, final. She brings Donna's arm around and behind her, and Donna's body follows the geometry of it. The handcuffs click. Donna Hartwell, you are under arrest for filing a false police report and misuse of emergency 911 services. You can't. I have union rights. I want my representative. You can't do this to me. Officer Martinez walks her from behind the podium into the open floor. Past the podium she has run for 21 years. Past the rope dividers she rearranged this evening with geometric precision. Past the passengers she has terrorized, overlooked, and diminished for 2 decades of shift after shift after shift. The gate area erupts, not in chaos, in applause. It starts with Frances Gable, the retired schoolteacher who begins clapping with the unhurried deliberateness of a woman who has been patient long enough. It spreads to the businessman with the laptop, to the young couple, to the man in the gray suit, to the young mother who is crying slightly and can't entirely explain why, except that something that has been wrong for a very long time has just been named. The sound builds until it fills the terminal. Donna does not look at the people. She looks at the floor as she has walked through them. Sophie Navarro watches the camera. Her viewer count is at 89,000. She says nothing. She lets it play. Edward turns to Marcus. He extends his hand. His expression is the first truly unguarded thing he has shown tonight. Not the executive authority, not the careful patience, just a man who is sorry. Dr. Webb, I cannot give you back the last 40 minutes. I am sorry for what you were put through in an airport that belongs to my company by an employee whose salary I have paid for 21 years. I am sorry I sat and watched for 11 of those minutes instead of standing up sooner. Marcus shakes the hand. You stood up when you didn't have to. That matters. I own this airline, Edward says. That means I own this moment too. He turns to Captain Flores. Rita, let's delay departure by 15 minutes. Dr. Webb boards first. Give him the row. Comp the flight. And get me Gary Bloom's employment file. Captain Flores nods once. She looks at Marcus. Whenever you're ready, Doctor. Seat 2A is waiting. Marcus picks up his duffel. The chess set is still inside it, undamaged. He walks down the jetway. The holding cell at O'Hare's law enforcement substation smelled of industrial cleaner and the specific staleness of a space that processes a lot of people and forgets them quickly. Donna Hartwell had been processed, photographed, and seated on a metal bench with her blazer wrinkled and her pinnacle scarf gone confiscated, and her mind running not on regret, but on strategy. She had made a mistake in the gate area. She was willing to admit that internally to herself in the privacy of her own head where admission cost nothing. She had overplayed. She had escalated past the point where the narrative was still manageable. But mistakes were recoverable. The system had a process, and the process had a union, and the union had a representative, and the representative, she had been told, was Frank Aller. Frank Aller, 58, arrived 4 hours later, looking like a man who had been called away from something better which he had. He was tired and transactional and carried a briefcase that had seen 20 years of grievances and arbitrations and mediations that had produced mixed results and a persistent lower back problem. Standing next to him in the fluorescent waiting area was a man who looked like he had been poured into his three-piece suit. Tan, white-toothed, with the particular grooming of someone who considers appearance a professional tool. His name was Leonard Pruitt, and he was a personal injury attorney who had first heard the name Donna Hartwell 6 hours ago when a paralegal on his team flagged the trending video on 3 major platforms. Leonard Pruitt did not take cases because they were just. He took cases because they were profitable. The math here, preliminary and subject to revision, looked excellent. Miss Hartwell. He extended a hand with the warmth of someone who has practiced warmth. An absolute travesty, what's been done to you. A hard-working woman, 21 years of service, ambushed by a wealthy executive and a physician who together decided your career was expendable. He shook his head. We're filing suit. Wrongful termination, emotional distress, defamation. David and Goliath and I am your slingshot. Donna straightened. This was the narrative she needed. This was the shape of the story that let her survive it. 3 days later, Donna Hartwell sat on the most watched morning program in the country. She was wearing a soft blue cardigan. No makeup deliberately. She looked smaller. She had spent 2 days building this version of herself. The version that was frightened, not malicious, overwhelmed, not discriminatory. A woman in her 50s who had dedicated her career to safety and been destroyed for it. "I was just doing my job," she said, her voice catching in precisely the right place. Dr. Webb was looming over my station. He was so insistent. And then, this older man appeared from nowhere, starting issuing system codes I'd never seen, claiming to be the CEO. I panicked. I genuinely thought we were under attack. Leonard Pruitt, seated beside her, added smoothly, "My client is a victim of corporate intimidation. Pinnacle Airways allowed their CEO to conduct what amounted to a sting operation on a frontline employee using a passenger as bait. We are filing suit for wrongful termination, emotional distress, and defamation. We are asking for $45 million. In the Chicago penthouse of Edward Calloway, Marcus Webb watched the screen with the flat, quiet attention he brings to situations he is preparing to resolve. "She's very good," Marcus said. "She's been coached," Edward said. "There's a difference." He clicked off the television. Across the table, Pinnacle's lead attorney, Catherine Voss, 52, had her legal pad open and her pen poised. She had won 23 of 26 discrimination cases in her career. She did not look like someone under pressure. "Here is what we have," Catherine said. Gate C-18 was upgraded 6 weeks ago with a 4-angle biometric security camera installation. The upgrade included a directional microphone mounted into the podium itself, positioned to capture all gate interactions within a 5-foot radius. The system was installed for safety compliance documentation. It has been running continuously since October 14th. A silence. "We have 41 minutes of audio and video," Catherine continued. 4 angles. Podium microphone. Complete chain of custody. Department of Homeland Security digital watermark. The same certification used in federal aviation security cases. Edward looked at the table. "Why haven't we released it?" "Because if we release it now, Pruitt calls it edited. He says we provoked her before the recording started. He builds a narrative around selective disclosure." Catherine set down her pen. "We need her to commit. We need her to sit in a deposition, raise her right hand, and swear to an account of events that we can then play 41 minutes of video against." She paused. "Once she does that, this isn't a PR matter. It's perjury. It's criminal exposure. The lawsuit evaporates because the attorney abandons a client he can no longer make money on." Marcus looked at her. "How long?" Pruitt pushed for expedited discovery. "He thinks we'll settle to avoid the press." 2 weeks to deposition. "He has no idea he's running toward a cliff," Marcus said. Catherine allowed herself a small, precise smile. "That is correct." The conference room at Pruitt and Associates occupied the 22nd floor of a glass tower overlooking Lake Michigan. It was designed to establish hierarchy from the moment you entered the view, the chrome, the long mahogany table, the implicit message that this firm had won expensive things for important people and would do so again. Donna Hartwell arrived looking confident. She had rehearsed her account for 9 days. She had gone over it with Leonard Pruitt and his paralegal until it played clean without hesitation, without the micro pauses that a skilled opposing attorney reads the way Marcus Webb reads vital signs. She took the oath. She stated her name. She described the events of that Wednesday evening at Gate C-18. She said Marcus had been aggressive, that he had thrown his phone at the podium, that he had used profanity, that he had called her names she would prefer not to repeat. "Please do," said Catherine Voss pleasantly. Donna paused. "Improvised. He called me a useless clerk and said I was an embarrassment to my uniform." Catherine wrote something down. She did not look up. Donna said Edward had never properly identified himself, that she had asked for ID and he had refused, that she had felt physically threatened by 2 large men who appeared to be coordinating with each other. She said she had called 911 because she genuinely believed her life was in danger. She said she had remained professional throughout. Catherine Voss wrote. She did not react. She let Donna build the structure. Then she reached into her briefcase. "Miss Hartwell, are you aware that Gate C-18 underwent a full security camera upgrade 6 weeks before this incident?" A pause. "No." Are you aware that the upgrade included a directional microphone mounted directly into the face of the podium? Your podium, designed to capture all verbal exchanges within a 5-foot radius. The pause this time was different, longer. Something behind Donna's eyes recalibrated. "No," she said. Leonard Pruitt leaned forward. A single hairline of doubt had crossed his face. He was reading Catherine the way she had just been reading Donna. Catherine slid a sealed drive and a chain of custody document across the table. "This was produced this morning. DHS watermark certification attached. Gate C18, October 14th, the full 41 minutes. Pruitt reached for it. "We'll need time. You can review it now." She connected her laptop to the wall screen. She pressed play. The room watched Donna Hartwell for 41 minutes. They heard the voice on the podium microphone, crisp and clear. "People like you always find a way to wander into places that weren't built for you." They watched Marcus Webb hand over his phone gently without a word. They watched the boarding pass on the screen. The name, the seat, clear and undeniable. And they heard every word of the conversation, every evasion, every public microphone announcement, every invented flag, every refusal to answer a direct question. They heard Donna laugh at the CEO's ID. They heard the 911 call. "I believe they may be armed," delivered in a voice that was not scared, that was composed and deliberate and calibrated. They watched Marcus standing 6 feet away, hands at his sides, utterly still. The video ended. The screen went dark. The silence in the room was the silence of a structure that has just been demolished. Leonard Pruitt looked at the screen for a long moment. Then he looked at Donna. The calculation in his face was not moral. It was actuarial. He was not looking at a victim anymore. He was looking at a liability. He began putting papers into his briefcase with the neat efficiency of a man closing a transaction. "Leonard?" Donna's voice had a new quality. Not fear exactly, but the recognition of a very specific kind of abandonment. "What are we doing?" "I'm withdrawing as counsel." He clicked the briefcase shut. "I represent victims, Miss Hartwell. The footage makes the characterization untenable." "You can't. We have a case. We had a story." He stood. Stories and cases are different documents. He did not look at her again. "Good luck." He walked out. Donna sat at the mahogany table with the 3 people she had tried to destroy. The view of Lake Michigan behind her. The dark screen in front of her. Catherine Voss folded her hands. "Here is our offer. Drop the lawsuit. Issue a public apology on the same program where you gave your account 3 days ago, and forfeit the pension to the Pinnacle Employee Hardship Fund." "My pension?" The word came out stripped of everything except its bare weight. "I worked 21 years for that." Marcus Webb looked at her across the table. When he spoke, his voice was not angry. It was simply the voice of a man stating facts that are going to be stated. "You tried to have me arrested at gunpoint for sitting in a seat I paid for. You told emergency services I was armed, knowing I was standing 6 feet from you with my hands at my sides. You tried to destroy my career and my reputation in front of 40 people and 89,000 live stream viewers. The pension is the minimum price of your freedom. Take the offer." Donna said nothing. She stared at the table. She took the offer. 2 days after the deposition, Donna Hartwell appeared again on the same program. Same blue cardigan, different posture. She read from a paper in her hands, and the paper shook slightly, and her voice was flat. Not the studied flatness of performance, but the real flatness of someone who has run out of versions of themselves to deploy. "I was wrong," she said. "I denied Dr. Marcus Webb boarding based on his appearance. I fabricated a security concern that did not exist. I called 911 and reported an armed threat about 2 men who were not armed and had done nothing wrong. I am sorry to Dr. Webb. I am sorry to Mr. Calloway. I am sorry to every passenger who witnessed that night and to every person who has ever been made to feel that they didn't belong somewhere they had every right to be." She folded the paper. She did not look at the camera. She got up and walked off the set, and the host sat with the silence for a moment before going to commercial. And that was the last time anyone heard from Donna Hartwell publicly for a very long time. Edward Calloway did not hold a press conference. He sent a company-wide internal memo to all 28,000 Pinnacle employees. The memo was 23 words. "We failed a passenger. We will not fail another." Starting today, this is who we choose to be. Attached to it was a new policy document, the web standard, which required that all boarding passes be scanned before any secondary verification process was initiated, prohibited gate agents from making public PA announcements about individual passengers' ticket status, and established a direct passenger advocacy line that reached a senior operations officer within 4 hours. Gary Bloom was placed on indefinite suspension. Over the following 3 months, 11 other Pinnacle Gate agents at 4 different airports quietly came forward to report patterns they had previously stayed silent about. The web standard gave them a mechanism that hadn't existed before, and they used it. Tara Vega was promoted to Gate Operations Supervisor at O'Hare Terminal 2. She chose her own team, 6 people. She was looking for something specific, not just competence, not just experience. She was looking for the willingness to say the true thing when saying it costs you something real. She found all 6 of them. 6 months after that Wednesday evening, Dr. Marcus Webb walks through O'Hare Terminal 2 on his way to Boston. He is in a suit tonight, a charcoal one, good cut, no tie. The NIH grant came through. $3.2 million. The clinic is being built. The first appointments are scheduled for February, and the waiting list is already long with names of children whose parents have been waiting for someone to tell them that their neighborhood is not a reason to wait. He walks to what used to be Gate C18. It has been renumbered in the terminal renovation C19, now new signage, fresh carpet. But the same podium, the same jetway door. Behind the podium is Tara Vega, supervisor pin on the lapel of her Navy jacket. She looks up when Marcus approaches. Dr. Webb, she says. Supervisor Vega, he says. They share the particular smile of 2 people who know something together that no one else in the boarding area will ever fully understand, not the drama of it, not the viral footage, not the headlines. The specific human thing that happened between them at this gate 6 months ago, when she stepped away from the jetway door and said the true thing. How's the new role, he asks. Hard, she says. Worth it. She takes his boarding pass. She scans it in one motion. The beep is clean, immediate, without hesitation. Seat 2A, she says. You're our first boarding today. He nods, picks up his duffel, the old leather one, his father's. He turns back. Tara. He stops. He looks at her for a moment. What you did that night, stepping away from the door, saying what you said when it would have been easier not to. I've thought about it a lot. It took more courage than anything I did. She looks down. I should have done it sooner, maybe he says. But you did it when it counted. That's what I'll remember. He walks toward the jetway. He does not look back. Seat 2A is exactly as it has always been. Marcus sets his duffel under the seat in front of him. He leans his head back. The seat accepts the weight of him the way something familiar does, with the particular ease of a thing that knows you. For the first time in a long time, the seat feels like it always should have felt. Not earned through an argument. Not accessed through a reveal. Not validated by a CEO's authority, or a supervisor's override code, or a video watched by 30 million people. Just a seat. His seat. A thing he paid for and showed up for, which is the entirety of what should have been required. He thinks about his nephew Darius, who received the chess set and immediately beat Marcus in 2 consecutive games which Marcus maintains he allowed, but which Darius accurately describes as his greatest athletic achievement. He thinks about his mother, who called him the Sunday after the incident and said nothing about it for 40 minutes, and then at the end of the call said very quietly, "You know what? I always loved about you." He said, "What?" She said, "You never let them make you small." He thinks about the 22-year-old in a plastic chair watching planes take off from a terminal window with a saved-for ticket in his lap and a mother starting chemo without him. He thinks about all the people who didn't end up in Seat 2A, who backed down, who accepted the invented flag and went to customer service, and missed the flight and filed the complaint that went nowhere, and told the story that got 23 likes and disappeared. He thinks about all the quiet surrenders, the daily erosions, the accumulated weight of 1,000 moments when the wrong thing happened and the person it happened to decided that the cost of fighting it was more than they could pay right now. He thinks about Tara Vega stepping away from the jetway door. He thinks about Francis Gable standing up and clapping when the room was still deciding whether to care. He thinks about Jake Whitfield, who typed 3 words and posted a video and went home. He thinks about how justice, when it comes, rarely arrives as a single dramatic thing. It arrives as a collection of small decisions made by ordinary people at ordinary moments. A tap on a keyboard, a step away from a door, a phone held up in a gate area. A flight attendant stops at 2A Dr. Webb. "Can I get you anything before we push back?" "Ginger ale, please," he says, "if you have it. We always keep it stocked for 2A. He looks at her. Something in that sentence, the small, ordinary familiarity of it, the fact that his preference is known and kept and ready for him, does something to him that 40 minutes of public indignity could not. He is quiet for a moment before he says, "Thank you." She moves on. Below, through the oval window, the ground crews move in the morning light. Yellow vests earmuffs the steady choreography of an airport functioning the way airports function. He watches them for a moment. These people who make travel possible and are never seen. He turns back to his book. He finds his page. The ginger ale arrives. He takes a sip. The engines find their low, steady hum, the sound that means this is actually happening. The promise kept the world about to rearrange itself around 30,000 feet of altitude. Marcus Webb sets down his glass. He turns the page. He is in his seat. That is enough. That is everything. If this story moved you, if you have ever stood somewhere you had every right to be and felt the world try to tell you otherwise, drop a comment below and share your story. You are not alone and your voice matters. If you believe that dignity should never depend on what you are wearing, what you look like, or who happens to be watching, please hit the like button right now. It takes 1 second, and it helps this story reach every person who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. We tell these stories because the world needs them. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that standing your ground with quiet strength is never the wrong choice. Until next time, sit in your seat. You have earned it. Let's fly.